Africa. Today we'll be discussing about gender. Hardly a day in South Africa passes without a South African being exposed to shocking stories about women and children violated and being abused. South Africa is ranked 70% out of 136 countries in terms of gender equality. Gender is defined in many different perspectives. So today we are joined by our guests who are going to tell us more about different views in terms of gender. So now we are going to have views on how sociologists view gender.
Opportunity from our present body. According to sociologists, the term gender highlights the fact that the way women and men or how they should behave does not relate to our bodies, but through our imagination. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that when you look at a male figure, you cannot just say that that's a male, because gender, it is internal as opposed to sexuality, which is external. Gender and sex are really opposed to one another. In this case, a female can have a male gender and a male can have a female gender, vice versa, whereby we see I'm a lesbian and I'm a gay. Some people say gender is whether you are mentally in your brain regard yourself as a male. Like if I say I'm a female, you cannot just question me that I'm not a male. Gender most of the time is also appear in physical sex, but not that every time that person will be that particular gender when I do even I. Like for instance, we can make an example with our most lovely girl, Okasta Simenyu. My colleague will further elaborate more on that.
Okay, we've heard that Lindo saying that gender is not only about your physical appearance. What do you have to say about that?
Thanks for a chance that I'm given by my colleagues. I'm here to define gender in different sociologists. As we know that we have most different sociologists and different philosophers. That's why we have different views and different meanings of the word gender. The most philosophers highlight that the word gender is highlights that it's not all about the physical appearance of people's bodies and body parts, but it's determined by the human behavior and how people interact with nature and how they behave to each other. As you know that most people, they differentiate by using male body and female body to determine whether this person's gender is a male or a female. But whereas we know that most philosophers says that we only know the gender of most people by using behavior, looking at their behavior and also looking at their symbols. For example, as we know that other philosophers they view gender in terms of symbols, like here. As we know that this is symbolic interaction where it aims that you have to know symbols and the importance of using symbols when we determining the gender of the people. As you see that on other perspectives or on other views of another philosophers, they view gender as something that is created for somebody. As you looking at here, this is a puzzle that shows that this structure was only created to be placed in this space, whereas and other philosophers that I've read about, they said it's not only about focusing on the nature of the people or on the nature of that particular thing, but you have to look at how familiar or how relevant is. You can be a boy or a male by your physical appearance, but your emotions and your behavior and other symbols that you produce throughout your living, that shows your gender, not by judging by your body and your body parties. Yes, thanks.
Okay. In spite of a great achievement in civilization, the human society is still under the negative influence of some old traditional concepts and different views in terms of gender. So now we are going to look at conflict theorist views in terms of gender. So Mr. Sizwe Makaye will be telling us more about the views of the conflict theorists.
Conflict theory is mainly about dominant power in producing social order. Social order is maintained by domination, with the power being put in the people or in those people who hold high position in economic, political and social resources. So now Friedrich Engels was a German sociologist who studied family structure and gender roles from the Marxist perspective, since I'm viewing the views of conflict theory. He suggested that the relationship between worker and the owner that can be seen in the labor forces can also be seen within the family structure, whereby women assuming the role of being a proletarians and men assuming the role of being a bourgeoisie. So now, when we look at this picture, what do I mean by that? If you can have a look at this picture here, this picture depicts the man who's carrying the briefcase ready to go to work, and the woman who's carrying a child with a broom and a bucket next to her. This depicts that a woman's role is for taking care of household home and perform various different house chores, while this man goes to work. So now, in what results into this is it's the amount of capital the man has and the amount of capital a woman has. So now, if you can have a look at this picture, you can see the amount of capital this man has. It's up to here, and the woman is up to here. So this makes this woman depending on this man for wages. So now, when you look at gender now, when we look at gender, according to conflict theorists, gender conflict theory applies the principles of conflict theory amongst gender roles, right? It's also specifically look at how social structures perpetuate gender equality, gender inequalities, right? And then it also suggests that men as dominant group maintains power and privilege to the detriment of women, to the suffrage of women, you know, neglecting them and depriving them opportunities that can be also awarded to women, same opportunities as men, right? So now, however, if we look at the contemporary conflict theorists, they suggest that when a woman earns wages, or when a woman goes to work and earn wages, they become more in control, and then they also what they also do is they gain more power, or they gain power to make democratic arrangement within the household. So now this depicts that if men and women were given the same opportunities, there wouldn't be gender inequalities within home, and there wouldn't be someone who is experiencing and enjoying more privileges and opportunities, which in this case those people are the men. So now Mr. Machia. Mr. Machia will be discussing the examples in support of the conflict theorist view of gender.
Alright, in response to Notando's question, I can say that there are other countries which are having such incidents of inequalities due to gender. For example, if we take a look at Asia as a developing country, majority of the women in those countries are found being neglected or being denied opportunity of working compared to men. As a result, they are seen migrating to other countries in order to find better work in order to support their families. However, even though they are migrating to other countries, those countries that they migrate to, they are being termed illegally citizens. However, there are lots of women which can be seen being violated or abused by members of the people who are living in that particular country because of seeing those women as immigrant workers who come from other countries, in such a way that results to women being oppressed and being denied the full rights of working opportunities in that country. Nevertheless, if we take a look at the history of South Africa, before colonization, the insane time of history, usually people who were hunting for their families were usually men, and women on the other hand had to be on the home to support their kids and cook for them and do all the activities that is done in home. Whereas on the other hand, men were the one who have to hunt for the food to be put in the table in order for the members of the family to eat. That shows that men were the one who have to support the family in order to put food on the table. If we take a look at this chart, more specifically on the conflict theory view, we have posted a picture which shows that 3 men and 1 woman holding a rope, and these 3 men are overpowering the woman because there are 3, whereas on the other hand, the woman is only 1 on this side, which shows that men are dominating in terms of power. Nevertheless, if you can take a look at the second picture here, it depicts that women are in a position of men in terms of control. Most of the things that they do, they are pointed by men. And if you take the third picture here, there is a dominated parliament here. Usually, most of the people who are in the parliament can be seen as men. There are few women who are in this parliament, which also shows that there is a struggle for control between men and women. Lastly, if we take a look at this picture in terms of working characters, usually men are given lots of percentage compared to women, which also emphasize that men are superior compared to women.
Now that we've heard about the conflict theorist views, after this short break, we'll be hearing Ms. Zungu and Mr. Mia telling us more about perspective of functionalists in terms of gender.
Hi everybody. Firstly, I would like to thank the opportunity from my presenter here. Okay, so the functionalism perspective sees society as a complex system whose parts are working together to promote solidarity. This theory suggests that gender inequality is an efficient way to create a division of labor. Okay, so going back to the first point of a complex system with parts that are working together. So I'll use the system of a family. Okay, in a family, we all know that we have a father who is the head of the family, and then we have a mother who helps the father in cases like this, and then we have siblings, brothers and sisters. All those people, they play a different role in a family, but then everyone needs to know his or her role. Okay, when you look at this picture here, Zuma's come as his head. Okay, we all know that. Okay, President Jacob Zuma is our former president. We all know that he resigned in parliament. The reason why he resigned is because all the members of the parliament, or we can say maybe our country, thought that it was a good idea for him to resign. For that decision, if it was up to him, he wouldn't have done it, but then he sees a need because he saw that there's too much chaos in this country because everyone wants him out of the president position. So now, as the head of our country, someone who rules the country, he has to take that decision. So it's the same thing when it comes to the family. There are cases whereby a father see a need that, okay, in this case I have to step down, and the mother will do it. So it's just, you have to know your role and things like that. So coming back to our pictures, we're gonna look at this picture of a puzzle. Okay, here in this puzzle we have a piece here. Okay, okay, a puzzle is pieces collected together to make one idea or something. So we have a piece here. If you take this piece and put it here, it's not gonna work, or the puzzle will, like, it will not fit in this position, you see. So it's why we're saying that is because every piece has its own role to play, and every piece has its own place where it should be put, or something like that. So that is how it's working functionalism. Everyone has to play his or her role, and then the system will work together. And yeah, so thank you.
Have said more about the functionalism, then I would add to what she has said. Then I would say the theory puts more focus on the gender roles, as it most happens in the traditional families, where you find male as the one who is the provider of the family, as the one who goes to work every morning, and then women take care of children as well as the house. Yeah, then I'll take few pictures to talk about. Okay, if we can take a deep look at this picture, actually it depicts two gender roles. Here, boys are being depicted as doctors, and then girls are being depicted as nurses, as to what happens during the industrialization, where males were acting as doctors and were working in factories and industries, while women were acting as nurses. And then here, this picture also depicts men being the scientists, girls, even the children's toys that plays with. Here, boys uses toys as cars, and yeah, and then girls plays with dolls and related. Right, I would like to stop there. Thank you.
We had the views of the conflict theorists in terms of gender, and we had the perspective of the functionalists also in terms of gender. So now we'll be looking at the critiques for both of these theorists. So we are going to have Nosipo telling us more, or critiquing these theorists.
conflict theories have said about struggle for control and struggle for power between male and females. I, as feminist, I believe that in a society we need equality for both male and female. Therefore, when there is equality, we can erupt, we can remove patriarchy. For example, in you guys, the conflict theorists, you believe that in order for a society to function, there needs to be inequality. For example, when you take a look at this picture, we are erasing patriarchy, which is one of the things that is dimming our society. If, for example, if I had a hammer, I would sledge patriarchy if I found it from males, if I can say. In order to make a society equal, I think it is best for us, both male and female, to switch roles. For example, in this picture here, we have a father who's taking care of 3 kids, wearing an apron, and the mother is wearing a suit, meaning that the woman is going to work. In that sense, there is equality is being created. When it comes to functionalism, they stated that in order for a society to function, in order for a family to function, they need to be a father, a mother, and children. Therefore, I do not believe in that, because a family can function without a father, a family can function without a mother as well. For example, when you take a look at this picture, this here it's just a mother and his 3 kids, and here it's a father and his 3 kids. For example, I come in a society where my neighbors, there's only a father with 5 kids, and the father is well taking care of the children. They do not lack anything. They go to school, they have everything they need. The father provides for the family without a mother being there. And to make another example of myself, I come from a family where there is a mother only. And my mom, she provides for me and my brothers equally. The things that she teaches me, that my brother also knows as well. I cook, I clean, my brother does the same. Functionalism again. You guys, you talked about males being dominant. When you take a look at this picture, the man is there, and the man rules, and the woman, that they have to be submissive to their wives. For example, in history, we have had women who have been leaders for quite a long time. You take a look at this picture here. It depicts women being empowered and women taking charge. For example, our own leader, Mama Matikizela Mandela. She led women in the struggle for equality.
As a traditional African male, I've heard my sister talking about feminism and the way she thinks that families can function without either one of the genders we have. I believe that we have natural genders, which are 2, only male and female. I believe that the current genders we have today, which are homosexuals, homophobias, and so on and so on, I believe that these genders are emanating because the dominant society just wants to sway away our liberty from their hard and bad mistreating education that we currently even inheriting. So what the sister said about feminism is actually wrong. You need a father and a mother. If you take a look at these pictures here, you will see that male here are seen doing the job that is normally done by women. That is wrong. That's where homosexuals eventually arise from. When you grow a child without a mother as a male, how are you going to socialize him with womanhood? That's how a lot of ladies become bisexuals and actually tend to be gay because the gender that is important in their life is missing. So I agree with most certainly the functionalists that a male should dominate the home because you can never have izinkunzi embili zibusa esibayeni esodwa according to isiZulu. So one needs to bow down to the another for a family to function very well. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay. Now that we have looked at how the sociologists views gender and how the conflict theories and the functionalist theories view gender, and we have also had the critiques for both these theories. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. It was lovely meeting you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.